just set the mood. Ah, yeah. And... Ooh, there we go. I like that. All right, hello and welcome to Night Rights. It's been a hot minute. By that I mean it's been exactly a week since, or exactly 2 weeks since our last session, hasn't it? If this is your first time with us, hello, hello. If you're on Blue Sky right now, consider clicking that link. That'll take you right to our chat room. This is Night Rights. It is a writing hangout. It's a little social space. We are all chill here. So if you click that link and join our chat room, you can say whatever you want, so long as it doesn't violate YouTube TOS. Please don't make the admins ban my account. That would make me sad. Excuse me. And anyway, if you write things, I will read them aloud and react to them. That is how the chatting happens. But that's not the only thing that we do here. We also do word sprints. If you have never heard of a word sprint, no problem. We will go right on through that explanation. Word sprints traditionally are lengths of time in which you spend every single second doing a thing for your writing project. Traditionally, that is writing, hence writing sprint, word sprint, so on and so forth. But we like to take our definitions a little bit looser here. We are word people and we are kind of weird like that. So if you want to edit, you can edit. If you want to read, you can read. If you want to just chill and hang out, we have had people just do laundry during those word sprints. It really doesn't matter to me, so long as you do something that improves your life a little bit. Even chilling and relaxing is life improvement, my dudes. At the end of those 20 minutes, we will take a break and we will talk about our progress, celebrate each other, and then just sort of hang out and get up and do the things that we need to do, because writing / doing things for 20 minutes is a long time to be doing things. I do apologize if I am stumbling over my words. Hopefully all of this makes sense. It has been a long day, but it has been a while since I last did these, and these are all excuses, I know. But anyway, the entire point of those breaks is to make you get up and do things so that you can be refreshed on the next sprint, because we do those sprints 3 times in a night. That is 3 20-minute sprints, sandwiching at least 2 breaks. And during those breaks, I will get a little bit chatty. I do like to rant about things, especially if I'm enabled / nobody stops me. So yeah, that would be it would be definitely good if you got up and you did things. Now those sprints actually start at 9 p.m. because we like to spend this first half an hour letting people trickle in and say hi and tell us a little bit about how they've been doing. And like I said, it has been a hot minute since our last one, so for sure we do need to catch up. Ooh, Gabe walked in. Gabe says, hello, I'm normally in bed at this time Wednesday nights, but I'm sick. Oh. I do hope that you're taking care of yourself and you get well soon. Gabe also says, might still, for 1 sprint, maybe 2. Totally a-okay. Do as much as you feel comfortable doing. Oh yes, there is also an icebreaker to help you kind of ease in to these chats, because I know that a lot of us are very shy. Today's icebreaker is pretty simple. It is, have you ever recycled a plot? A plot bunny. I can definitely words right now. Have you ever recycled a plot bunny? And part of this comes from the entire kerfluffle that's been going on about how a lot of fanfics are getting kind of traditionally published and having like their serial number scraped off. But also, let's be real, fanfiction authors. Have you ever like taken one of your fanfics and when you made the jump to original fic, as some of you have, have you been like, I already have this cool idea that I never got around to writing in a fan fiction space, so I'm gonna see if it'll work in an original fic space. Uh, I have, um, not necessarily with the Nameless Song, but like in general, I do have some plot bunnies that are rattling ground on the backest of back burners that I will eventually get to. One of them is a Shakespeare retelling. The other one, it's like it was a very weird Shakespeare retelling. It was my first or second actually long fic. Uh, then there is also a story about aliens that I don't want to get into because it's kind of super. I'm still working out the kinks of how to transfer it. Also, if I explain, I don't know if I want to actually revisit that one, but there are ideas. And the Nameless Song, I guess, is, as I've mentioned in the past, Mick and Eleanor used to be my two pet characters that I wrote in fanfiction spaces. So, in any case, um, and I know like the discourse is that there are people who are like, no, you can never turn fan fiction into original fic. But first off, I hope that y'all are like eating humble pie about that because it seems like that's all the traditional publishing space wants to do right now. Like take popular Harry Potter fan fictions for some fucking reason and turn them into original fics. But like on top of that, like it really depends on the plot. Some of them are so loosely based on their source material that you could probably remove all of the serial numbers and still get a good core story. Others are like super tied in, and I feel like those ones that are super tied in you would have struggles with. But like it's not every single fan fiction, my dudes. So there's that. Anyway, turning back to the chat now that we've gotten context on that icebreaker. Sorry about that. Gabe says, to answer, there are doc folders full of recycled plot bunnies. Poor things. Oh, yeah, I should probably also mention that I do not just mean fanfiction. I just mean, like, those plot bunnies that you tried to tackle once, but you put it on the back burner, and now you're kind of like, okay, maybe it's been a few years. I think I have another idea for this. So I'm going to take it off the back burner, except I'm going to rebuild it from the ground up and kind of like scrap it for parts and ship a thesis it into an idea that actually works. That's also what I mean. So not just fan fiction, but I was formerly a fan fiction author, so most of my ideas, like a really hardcore fan fiction author for decades and decades, so all of my ideas are basically that. And also, it was inspired by the shenanigans. Like, I follow a lot of booktubers, and literally all the ones that I'm following are doing some kind of rant about a romantasy that was formerly Draco Hermione fic. I'm like, what is going on? Where are all these Draco Hermione fics coming from? But anyway. Companion Wolf has also walked in. Companion Wolf says hello. Actually, to properly respond to Gabe, high five on that doc folders full of recycled plot bunnies. Someday they will get their pastures, I'm sure. Or at least I hope so for you. Now Companion Wolf says, hello, I was eating dinner. And I say hello back, and I hope that that dinner was excellent. Gabe says, asthma and bronchitis Ooh, asthma and bronchitis combo is a match made in the depths of hell. I'm monitoring. For sure. Yikes. Definitely take it easy. But I do hope that things kind of get better with maybe a little bit of medicine use and rest and definitely monitoring. Stephanie C. 3022. I do believe you're a new face, so hello, welcome. Let me know if there's a name that you would like me to call you instead. I might call you Stephanie, but definitely correct me there. Gabe says, "I'll be honest. I attempted it with fanfics, but it never worked out. I always ran into issues rebuilding them and scrapping them." Yeah, I totally see that too. I don't know what the magic formula is with those Draco Hermione fics. I feel like that they were just so distant from their source materials and kind of just based on vibes that they could make that jump. Or at least I'm guessing because I never actually read the fan fictions they were based on. But I'd imagine just from like the plot and what I remember of Harry Potter back when that was actually a thing that people read. Um, the new books that are coming out do not sound like anything that would have taken place in Harry Potter whatsoever. So it's like, for sure, I guess I can definitely see that happening. Like people being able to recycle plots that they used to have. Um, Stephanie says, "I like reading fanfic, less so writing it. Always happy to read support others." High-fiving. It definitely takes a lot of patience to write fanfic, as I say from experience. To give you an idea, I wrote one fanfic for about 5 years. Like, this was just one project, mind you. Like, I was actually writing for a long time. Put it this way, when I first discovered fanfiction, we were still using GeoCities to post content onto. That's how far back we're talking. But in any case, towards the end of my career, there was this one fanfiction that I was writing. It was about 200,000 some words, only 2/3 of the way done, and I would put out chapters maybe once a month at the very most. And it's just because it is a slog to get through. It's enjoyable. It's a hobby, but it I don't know. At a certain point, whenever you write like 200,000 words and you're still not done with the story, even you start to get to be like, maybe I should have ended this 100,000 words earlier. But it is a challenge. It is a challenge to keep all of your plot straight and to sit down and write marathons and whatnot. So, as we all know from being in a writing stream, I don't know. Point is, I totally understand enjoying the entire reading fanfic thing. Gabe says, "When the Tides Held the Moon" by Vanessa Vita Kelly was once an AU3 fanfic. Forgot what fandom, and it was incredible. I am curious. Let me go look that up real quick. I swear to God, if it was an old Harry Potter fanfic, I'm not sure I would be able to tell you this. Let's see. I'm just like poking around. When the Tides Held the Moon, AO3. Here we go. Maybe? Oh, here we go. According to Reddit, it was a Simon Snow fanfiction, so it's saved. However, her author name was Mudblood428, so make of that what. I'm not gonna judge her. It is a Simon Snow fanfiction though, so okay. That said, I'm kind of like browsing through. Ah, yes. I even found it on Tumblr. Holy shit. Fascinating. Okay, so first off, I found it on Tumblr, and second off, it was only in 2020 that really took off. So I am quite interested in this. But let me look at the actual summary of the book, not like. Ooh, okay. It is a 1910s romance, or it's a romance set in 1910s New York City. So already, and it's about mermaids. So already I'm very much interested. Oh shit, and I can get this. Okay, fascinating. Okay, I might actually do this. Add that to library. Ah, there we go. I will read that later. Thank you for the rec. Uh, sorry for the rambling right there. I had to actually dig into that because I love learning about the fun processes and histories of various books. So I am thrilled. I'm also a little bit thrilled that fan fiction authors are like finding a space. Because I remember whenever I was really into fanfic, like 10 years ago, everybody would be like, I hope to become an author someday. I hope to become an author someday. It was like everybody's dream. So now you have all these fanfiction authors who are growing up and they're actually taking their fanfics and turning them into traditionally published stories, and it feels like there's a lot of opportunity out there now. Uh, trad publishers are realizing, there is a potential and a huge pool of talent in fan fiction spaces to find new authors and find new voices. And those who don't get recognized by traditional publishing, there's always indie publishing, which has been made so much easier within just the past few years. So it's super exciting right now to be a writer and to have grown up from those writing spaces into this whole new world where you can just do this. You can take a Simon Snow fanfiction and turn it into something else. But also, I'm very excited because I swear to God, I don't know why every fucking romance book is now has been a Harry Potter book in the past. Like, I miss the goddamn days whenever we just got flooded by 50 Shades nonsense. Like, can we please just have that back? Like, why are we giving all these like I don't want to go off on Harry Potter right now, or former Harry Potter fans. Like, I want to believe that their jump from Harry Potter fan fiction into traditionally published spaces just represents the fact that they're moving on from the Harry Potter fandom. They're putting it away, and they're not actually supporting JKR. But I know that a lot of them probably still do. I know that at least one of the ones that I'm thinking of, like there was one review that I was listening to about Draco Hermione fanfic that was really huge on AO3, but it was actually just like this really weird bondage fic and torture porn that was really violent against women, and basically it was this super weird slavery fic too, and it's like this is where the Harry Potter fandom has gone since the days when it was just silly people waving plastic wands around back in the early 2000s. But anyway, um, the point is, I'm delighted if we can find more fanfics, to more fandoms to kind of cross over. I'm very much looking forward to the days whenever the Gideon and the Ninth fandom decides to write fan fiction and turn that into traditionally published novels. Uh, I kind of feel it. Gideon the Ninth itself is a little bit of that because it does have roots in the Homestuck fandom. So, which was kind of wild if you happen to have been adjacent to that. and during its heyday. And I have read some of Tamsin Muir's fan fiction, and is it was wonderful, but also kind of par for the course for Homestuck fan fiction. So, yeah, Homestuck fan fiction, go read it, and it is all wild. I wish I could remember half the shit that I used to read in that fandom. But anyway, Companion Wolf says, yeah, I have two fanfics. I did the re-outline as original fics, but never wrote. As for bunnies in general, I don't remember. Probably. Totally okay. Steph says, Steph is fine from Blue Sky. Hello, hello. Gabe says, happy to wreck. Companion Wolf says, I kind of gave up on publishing. It'd be nice, but I don't think it'll happen for me. Totally understandable. It is a difficult thing to navigate. I'm saying this as somebody who has been trying for years to get a book into publishable form. But, and I haven't even gotten to the part where it's like this mountain to climb towards publication, and there's a whole laundry list of things that I'm going to have to do if I ever want to, in either method. And there's no guaranteed, there are no guarantees for success. Like, you could put out a book and you can get only 4 people to buy it. Like, I've seen that happen to some of my old associates on Rapler. They would like spend years working on a book. They would put it out there, and they would literally get only 7 reviews for what they did. And most of the books that they, they had or they managed to get rid of, essentially, were given away for free, and that constituted their review pool. It's like, so that's like crushing in itself, thought in itself, but at the same time, at least somebody read your work. And that is the attitude that I am taking into it whenever I approach the thought of publishing. However, I also understand if nobody wants to go through the entire mountain of energy draining work and the financial drain that publishing can be, especially if you self-publish. But also, I really hope that in the coming years we legitimize free publishing, like publishing on newsletters, publishing on websites, non-traditional methods of multimedia art that's put out there for people to experience, there are so many ways that publishing can be done, but there are only a couple that have to be for pay, even for pay, there are definitely methods other than make a book that you sell on Amazon or you sell to a publisher. You can't, like, publishing chapters on Patreon behind a Patreon paywall is still considered publishing for profit, and that is super easy. Not for taxes, but you get what I mean. Anyway. Gabe says, I fear I may be too niche for trad publishing, but I like having my own little space. Right there with you. Trad publishing has gotten super duper particular about what they want to, because, like, it's not just genre, although it also is genre and age group. But you also have to be a particular person, I want to say. Like, I've read a lot of tales very recently on Blue Sky about folks who had gotten passed over by agents because they were previously self-published, but they only got like 50 reviews on their books. Or people who work in publishing but have watched middle grade or editors pass over everything but specific flavors of romance. It is a tough time to be a traditionally published author, in other words, and again, I feel like it's no fault of editors or agents. It's just that the way that the system has gone makes it makes profit priority. So you can't take risks anymore, and it is what it is. Like, you can't do things like YA shenanigans anymore. You can't publish just anything because, like, all publishers want to do is take the safe route. And I've worked in that industry for a solid decade, and I can't tell you, like, during the decade where we slid away from all of these, from like the YA boom and the growth of the traditionally published ebook into where we are now. And I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what kind of made us slide away from that golden age where you did have a lot more hope getting traditionally published. I think it's really just a lot of factors, but mostly that everything in the world is now so much more profit driven, that there's no room for creativity these days. Like, I'd hate to put it that bleak, but it is what it is. Anyway, it is 8:57. We are going to be starting our first word sprint in about 3 minutes. So let me go through the chat, and my hanging question to all of you is, what are you working on? I am going to be editing actually today, so you will be seeing a little bit of slowness. No new words. It's all just going to be me editing chapters 5 and 6 and trying to attach them to the rest of what I wrote for the past couple of weeks. But as for you, feel free to put in what you've got going on. Let's see. Companion Wolf says there was some pretty great Homestuck and MSPA stuff. Absolutely. Gabe says, I will be counting my words this sprint because I'm back to working on the rough draft of The Witch of Eden Hollow. I'm almost done. I'm at the tail end of the climax. Hell yeah. May you have many words towards The Witch of Eden Hollow. And if you don't finish it, may you be so close to finishing it by the time you're done. By the time you're done tonight, I mean. Companion Wolf says, I don't really put stuff online anymore, either fanfic-wise, but that's maybe because just a low energy, low self-esteem period thing. It'll come back probably. Yeah, give yourself a little bit of time. Just chill out. Work on because fanfic should ultimately be fun above everything else. So do what's fun for you. Companion Wolf says, Elder Vampire, that is exciting. Is your little spirit person on a train? Oh, are you referring to the what's on screen? Yep, that is, there is a train DLC for Spirit City. Steph says, I publish things for free on my website for now. Will eventually probably self-publish a book in 5 to 8 years or so. See, that is valid. That is an excellent way to go. Gabe says, yes, so close to the happily ever after. High five. Cryptic says, hello, Cryptic, by the way. Hi, I'm late, but I'm here. Companion Wolf says, hi, Cryptic. Cryptic says, I might do some world building notes, but more likely just chillin'. I encourage the world building. Companion Wolf says, Steph, that's smart. Do you use WordPress, etc.? Steph says, I'm editing client work, using this as co-working sprints. Totally cool. Hopefully it helps. Companion Wolf, as for sprint, I want to write something, don't know what. Stream of consciousness, I would recommend. And finally, Steph says, yep, on WordPress. An excellent platform. I need to look into it, though. That having been said, it is 9 p.m. on the dot, so let us prepare ourselves. If you're not at your docks, please get to your docks. And sit up straight in your chairs for our usual breathing exercise. Shake out those wrists. Wiggle those fingers. Take a deep breath with me. And let it out. One more time. And back out. 20 minutes are on our first clock. Get ready, get set, and good luck. Go. Oop. That didn't work. You will still have 20 minutes on the clock. I'm going to see what's going on here. Oh. There we go. 20 minutes. Good luck. That is our first sprint of the night done. How did we do? Um, I went through 622 words, but we're getting there. I was distracted for the first 10 minutes I'd been, but you know, it's a good start. Itchy has found his way into the chat. I don't know if he's still here. It would be his MO to drop a lizard and then move. But Itchy says lizard. I send you a lizard back. In fact, I will probably spam it. Progress. Itchy, hello, welcome. How are you doing? I hope that you are feeling a little bit better from earlier today / last night, and that you are getting some rest anyway. Hopefully nobody is running you into the ground. Cryptic says a little scattered, but a bit of progress. Excellent. So that means that you had worked on world building stuff. So out of curiosity, we didn't quite have time to ask before the sprint, but what kind of world building are we looking at right now? Itchy says, can't feel my legs. That's because you took... I'm kidding. I'm not going to accuse you in front of complete strangers of not following Aiden's fitness advice, but get plenty of rest. Warm compresses will help. Just don't, that's what happens after leg day, unfortunately. As Aiden was right last night when he said that potassium and protein is a very good idea. But for aftercare, for sure, warm compresses and rest. Gabe says, I locked in hard, 716 words. God dang, that is locking in. I am very proud of you. Hopefully you'll be able to stay for another sprint. I can definitely speak. Hopefully you're still feeling up for one. If not, you know, totally okay. But I am just thinking, hopefully you're a little bit closer to that happily ever after. / how close are you to the happily ever after? Steph says a few pages edited. Heading to eat. We'll be back for the next sprint. Excellent. Go get that food. We still have about 12 minutes left on our break clock, so take as much time as you need. Also it is a 20-minute sprint, so if you need to take longer, totally a-okay as well. Let's see. Where were we? Gabe says, I tend to write really quickly during emotional scenes, apparently. It's quite sad. Aw. Hopefully that it doesn't end on a sad note. But in any case, I totally hear you that there's nothing like a good emotional scene to really put the wind in your sails. But I do hope for catharsis. Cryptic says, technically yes and no, LOL. Oh dear. I am assuming that there will be more explanation further on down. Cryptic says, Companion Wolf says, I'm working on a low-tech communication board. Sometimes I need to use augmented alternative communication, and while I have a tablet with some apps that do that, I want to have some other options. That is totally cool that you're building that essentially from scratch and based on what you need. But I am curious to hear a little bit more about that. Itchy says, ha ha ha. Itchy. Companion Wolf says, itchy, itchy. Whole bunch of lizard emojis. Itchy says, can do and will do. And more lizard emojis. We are having a lizard war in the chat right now. Excellent. Excellent. I am okay with this. In all seriousness, this is the most active that the chat has been during these breaks, and I am totally down for lizard wars. Please have at it. Cryptic says I was originally going to work on the frog people's culture. Instead, I pivoted to thinking about how the different classes work in my universe. That is a fucking hilarious pivot. I still approve of frog peoples and encourage frog people culture as somebody who adores animal-based cultures, and also frogs are excellent. But different classes also are class shenanigans are also pretty cool. So there we go. Companion Wolf says 716 very good verbs. Wholeheartedly agreed. Cryptic says, spoiler alert, I've decided to see if on top of making my own whole world, wouldn't it be fun to have its own D&D style system? Hell yes! Welcome to actual hell. I'm kidding, I live here. You are speaking to somebody who has also had, who has basically created a world so thick with world building notes, I might as well create my own rulebook as well. It would be a cross between Final Fantasy and Exalted, but it would be a fun time had by all except for certain people. But in any case, I wholeheartedly agree with these shenanigans. Gabe says, I still have energy for another one. High five. May this one get you a little bit closer to the line. Companion Wolf says, everyone doing good? Hell yeah, agreed. Cryptic says, so I ended up writing on an overview for how paladins work in this universe and kind of got Fayish by accident. How? Paladins? Like, when I hear paladin, I think, oh. Oh, the dedication part, isn't it? Oh. Oh no. Do tell. Gabe says, I got one last chapter to give an uplifting end, and then there's going to be a happily ever after epilogue. I wholeheartedly encourage this, and hopefully the last chapter will be emotional enough to really kick you into high gear. I am like rooting for you to finish this novel by the end of the stream. Cryptic says, or sorry, Companion Wolf says, oh, Cryptic, that sounds super cool, right? Cryptic says, I tend to bite off more than I can chew. High five, same here. Then Itchy and Cryptic got into Lizard War. Itchy says, cometh at me, ye non-kobolds. Woda's Nandy, who's also new face, unless I have just gotten raided by my FC, has come in with a turtle. Then Lizard. Companion Wolf says, what's nice about making a laminated board is some of the high-tech, the apps, you can build a board layout and sorry, hold on. What's nice about making a laminated board is some of the high-tech, the apps. You can build a board layout and export it as a PDF to print it, and also can put together multiple boards with a jump front ring. That, oh, okay, okay, now I'm envisioning what you're talking about. And that is still so cool. That is so practical, and I love this wholeheartedly. Then there was more lizard and frog wars with some dragons. Excellent. Cryptic says, a paladin's power comes from a promise made so deeply it gives them power. Companion Wolf says, also making communication cards smaller, portable, less versatile than board. But that has taken a lot longer because of reasons. Mostly the fine motor issues with cutting the paper, etc. Totally understandable. Yeah, that would take a lot of precision, wouldn't it? Can't blame you at all. The communication card I put together in Canva, but the assembly is a lot of manual cutting and laminating, etc. I still applaud that. That is so cool that you're building that from the ground up. Cryptic has offered a raccoon. Gabe says, I yap a lot, and I'm torn between different epilogue ideas. So I'd like to at least get to Avery and his dad finally reconciling and admitting their love. They love each other. Oh, that would be very cute. Especially for a last chapter, or even an epilogue. Like, something cozy, just to wrap things up, especially if this chapter was sad. So 100% I'm here for this. Companion Wolf says, Paladin's power being made on promises is so copper. Cool, there we go, so cool. Cryptic says, I like it that way because they can vote to a god like the old days, but they don't have to. For sure. But also, I'm terrified of what's replacing it. I mean, I'm assuming that when you said it got kind of a, you mean by the promises and not necessarily who they're pledging to. But now I am kind of curious about how, like, are we talking contracts, like with regular people? Because that would actually be, if we're talking about romance, that would be kind of hot. Not gonna lie. Companion Wolf says, I like options. Yes, like making this into a romance, where a paladin pledges themselves to somebody. I like this idea. This is probably more than you need to know about me. But 100%, I'm here for all of this. But anyway, also, what is net? Please feel free to come in and introduce yourself. Tell us where we know you from, or if you're just coming in to throw turtles at Itchy. I feel like you have actually been here before. Anyway, we are currently... Wow, that was a lot of... Oop. Itchy has posted multiple brick walls, so I assume that is somebody that I know. Itchy says, Great Wall, protect me. Nothing can protect you from lizard. Cryptic says it's wildly devoting yourself to your beliefs. So, oh no. It's wildly devoting yourself to your beliefs so hard that the world goes, yeah, you're the typical powerful knight now. Or the inverse if your promise is evil enough. Yeah, that is exactly why I said, oh no, because that can go so wrong. Like, imagine being a magical knight, but you're like, I don't know, like a fundamentalist Christian. That was terrible, but also just about as horrifying as I'm trying to get across. Like, imagine like you go to a mega church, but you're also like a paladin. I mean, granted, this would actually fit the definition of a paladin according to D&D standards. And now I have terrible ideas for fanfiction for a new character. But anyway, that is also extremely terrifying. Cryptic says, yeah, that's very much the point. Oh, excellent. I say. Because on the one hand, like, it would be... there are certain concepts that would be amazing for. And there are other concepts that would be terrifying for. Like, do not get me wrong, the idea of somebody fighting, for example, for justice, for freedom, like, plop somebody who's a straight up paladin to the causes of no kings into a no kings rally and see what happens, you know what I mean? But, Woodasnet says, I randomly saw this and it looked cozy, so I'm staying. Excellent. Welcome. The vibes are kind of cozy, and this is kind of tame for a break chatter. I have been known to rant, and you actually stopped me from going into a rant. But for sure, welcome. I do hope you enjoy the vibes. I do try to cultivate some good cozy ones. In any case, we have passed the minute warning mark. So in other words, we have less than a minute to go before our second sprint. So if you are sprinting with us, get back to your ducks. I know. We're all having fun, but 30 seconds left. Lotus, if you're working on something, feel free to let us know. I will still read it even after the next timer goes off. But otherwise, just 20-minute sprint of productivity. And then we'll hang out. Cryptic says, The fun part of these paladins is that breaking that promise hurts them in their soul. Oh, now I kind of want to play with the idea of terrifying paladin breaks their promises. That would be so cool to explore. Anyway, 20 minutes are on the clock, so good luck, everybody. Sprint number 2. Woda says, nothing currently. Totally a-okay. In that case, feel free to chill out with us. Going silent for 20 minutes, so there will be lo-fi vibes, courtesy of Spirit City for you. What is the second sprint? How did we do? I was a little bit less distracted, but I would say, I don't know, pages. I'm actually not really counting words all that much. With editing, it's a little bit fast and loose. I mean, I did revise. It's like going over something that I wrote months and months ago and trying to figure out what I meant and how I can twist it to fit what I've changed about the story. It is a challenge. I'd like to think that we're getting that this is making a little bit more sense and is a lot smoother, but we'll see whenever the readers see it. Yay! Let me get back to where I was. There it is. Alright, let's see, where did we leave off? Gabe says straight up made myself cry, LMAO. Oh, that's the best feeling when you're writing. I take it we're still in the bad chapter. Oh dear. Cryptic said, had to stop partway through because my hands started cramping while writing, but I have pivoted again back to frog people. I mean, I do love it whenever you're world building and you can do that because you're not really focusing on a coherent story. I had mentioned this. I don't know if it was on Blue Sky or a past stream. I can't even remember right now. But I was talking to somebody about how I do not know how some people can write out of order. And I swear to God, this is relevant because, like, in my mind, when you're writing a novel, you have to kind of write linearly to avoid making a mess for yourself later. And I say this because it is very easy to write a chapter in the future and then go back and then accidentally change something that changes what happens in that later chapter, or forces you to essentially throw out that later chapter and rewrite it completely. So I don't know how, especially, and this goes especially if you're a pantser, aka somebody who doesn't plan at all. So I don't know. I have known people to do this, and I do not know how. And even the person that I was talking to who did do the writing out of order said essentially what they did was what I described, in that they would write a chapter and essentially throw it out. So in my mind, jumping back and forth between things is not a thing that you can do once you get to the actual novel. Or you could, but you make things a lot harder. Now, keep in mind, I kind of sort of also understand that concept of writing ahead. But I never really do it for serious scenes. I jot down potential ideas like dialogue and bits, but it's like with the understanding that it's an idea, it's not something that's going into the story. So I don't know. Steph says, hi, back from dinner now. Excellent. What did you have? And also, you have made it in time for the last sprint, which is happening in 10 minutes. Gabe says 706. This specific scene, Avery and his dad reconciling, has been in my head for months, so I've been excited to write it. Aww. Gabe says the crying is over Avery and his dad. Aw, so it's good crying. It is. People are working towards their healthy resolutions crying, and I'm here for this. 100%. Cryptic says, for me personally, writing out of order lets me write the stuff I know needs to happen, and then it's just a big connect the dots. I kind of understand that. Like, I have to ask though, like, so basically it's sort of like you are writing scenes that don't necessarily contradict each other. It is just disconnected scenes on an. So, for example, let's say you have plots A, B, C, and D that need to happen, but there are gaps in between A, B, C, and D. Writing out of order for you would be just writing A, B, C, and D, and then going back and filling in the details where you feel like it would work best? Or is it like writing D, C, A, and B, and then just sort of tweaking as you get? Like, I'm literally, I am so sorry that I have to really concentrate to wrap my head around this, but it is a very interesting concept for sure. Oh, Cryptic says, yeah, exactly. So I'm assuming that's to the A, B, C, and D method, whereas writing A, B, C, and D, and then just filling in the details between. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. Cryptic says, I'm taking you guys with me while I feed the cats, by the way. Please pet the cats for us. Steph says, I ate tacos, happy to make it for the last sprint. Heck yeah. Heck yeah to tacos. That does sound delicious, actually. I have to admit that I might have underbought for my most recent grocery run, so now it's sort of like all the foods sound excellent for me. Oh, so I will say, like, off topic, and this will be my only off topic rant, I swear to God, but I had recently, when I came home from my vacation, I placed a delivery order, a grocery order like I usually do. But also, like I usually do, usually what I do is I pick out a couple of recipes that I want to cook for that week, and then I buy the ingredients for that, as well as any other staples that I'm missing. So this week I decided to try this one recipe that's like lemony creamy chickpeas, and what it is essentially chickpeas in roux sauce that is flavored with mustard and lemon pepper, and it is very delicious, don't get me wrong. The problem is the fact that I forgot I'm actually lactose intolerant. So, nights are painful. And you might be asking yourself, Jax, how did you forget that you're lactose intolerant? And my answer is it doesn't trigger all the time. Basically, I have to really overload on cream and dairy products in order to actually feel miserable. Other times it's just sort of like, oh, I'm gassy, oops. But eating a dish that is basically heavy cream butter and cheese, my stomach is not happy. Like, eating those things, well, actually, no, I can't actually take heavy cream. I don't know why I did this to myself. But taking cheese and butter separately, I don't mind. I can do. But why did I stick all three things together with heavy cream, which has been known to trigger me? I am not a very smart person, and this is basically the meal for the week. Next week it's going to be pizza, but then like homemade pizza with a dough recipe that I stole from my mother. But the sad thing is I forgot I don't have a pizza pan. Planning was not my strong suit this couple of weeks. Anyway. Cryptic says sometimes it's A, B, C, D, and any order in between. They do tend towards still being chronological, though. See, I understand that because, like, if you have the major beats, you want to make sure that they're consistent because they are the major beats. They are the foundations on which the rest of your story stands. They are, like, the support pillars, and so on and so forth. Keep adding metaphors here, but, like, you don't want to write something in one that accidentally makes you have to retcon things in another. So 100% I get it. So that is chronological. So I get it. I get it. Thank you. Uh, that makes so much more sense. Gabe says, as someone with friends who are lactose intolerant, it's actually quite common to forget. Excellent. I'm not the only one. It doesn't help that cheese is just so tasty, and so is creamy roux sauce. I was about to say, to make things worse, sometimes I'll get small things as filler meals because I don't often have time to cook on weekdays. And this week's filler meal, for some reason, I've decided to make mac and cheese. But it's okay because I remember that's vegan mac and cheese. I was smart on the filler meals. Cryptic says, it's fun because sometimes I write a later scene and realize, wait, I completely misunderstood this character originally. Glares at No Rock Heroes, Michael. Oh no. But then again, also, to be fair, that is actually what drafts are for. Like, literally, literally, a lot of writers recommend that one of your drafts should be to tighten up the plot and to tighten up the characters. So what that means is your first draft is going to be absolute shit. You're not going to fully understand your characters and what you're doing, but the idea is that you get the skeleton on paper. Then you go back, and when you do revisions, you start tightening things up, rewriting and reshaping things until things come together. So I'm right there with you. It's taken me so many drafts to get a handle on. It's taken me not only so many drafts, but an entire goddamn side story to get mixed character. But and that is the main character. That is one of the main characters of the Nameless Song. So you can imagine what he was like in the original first draft. Spoiler alert, a cardboard cutout. So definitely don't worry if you completely misunderstood a character and need to go back. This is also I will also say that what you've described as your method of writing works best for a first draft. So it's supposed to be chaotic, and it's supposed to be this thing that you just slap onto paper. Because once you have that one structure, you're supposed to go back and you're supposed to tweak and add more and modify more and just sort of like trim it into shape. So don't worry too much about it. 100%. What you're describing, in other words, is completely normal. So. Anyway. So yes, I am jealous of tacos. I might actually do a little run. I'm going to be open with y'all. I had walked into my apartment on Sunday evening, and I haven't left since. To be fair, though, I do live in New York City where it is butt-ass cold. But nonetheless, like, I am getting, like, maybe I'll find an excuse to go out and actually buy a little bit something other than creamy chickpeas and frozen waffles to eat. And ingredients for a pizza that I'm trying not to use. But in any case, we'll see about what happens to tomorrow, me. For now, though, it is a minute until our next sprint. Gabe says, funny enough, these sprints and chats are helping me wind down for bed, LMAO. One more, exactly. One more sprint for all of us, too. I will get into the schedule after the next sprint. But I am delighted that it's helping you chill and get ready for that final bit. In any case, 20 seconds to go. So if you're not at your docs, get to your docs. Wiggle your fingers. I'm looking at the word count for this chapter. That's not a good word count. We're gonna have to fix that up. Although Anyway, 20 minutes are on the clock, so I will see you on the other side. Good luck, everybody. All right, that is our third sprint. How did we do? I did actually write new stuff. So, where did I start? Here we go. 422 new words, so that's not bad. I just need to do a little bit more editing to stitch these two little bits together, and then I'll be on my way towards the end of the chapter. But how did everybody else do? Cryptic says I tried to start a timer at the same time, so now I have a 30-second warning. That happened at the very beginning of the sprint, and I do have to say I'm so sorry. While other people are sticking their progress into the chat, let me just go over the schedule very quickly. Cryptic says my hand was still kind of hurting, so I typed up the paladin description to send to my friends, then chilled to give myself a bit of a break. That sounds like a sprint well sprunt. I am so tired today, guys. I have had a long work day. It was one of those days where I was working basically nonstop from 9 to 5. Not technically 9 to 6. Although some of that was a little bit of dilly-dallying, but you know. Gabe says a little over 600 words, and I am right where I hoped I'd be by the end of the night. Not much left. Excellent. I wish you the best of luck with the rest. I am looking forward to seeing what happens, and I am looking forward to cheering you on with that last bit. Steph says finish the chapter I was editing, but I'm on a deadline, so I have more to do. Totally okay. I also wish you the best of luck with the next bit that you have to do. Cryptic says, so technically 68 words for me, so close to the funny number, but not quite. You need to like write an A somewhere or an adverb. But anyway, unlike our Saturday sprints, I do have to admit that that was our third and final sprint of the night because I am really tired. What I hope to do for the rest of the night is just to finish up this little last bridge and then knit until I crash. But just to go over the schedule for you, let's see, the rest of the week, our next guaranteed sprint will actually be on Saturday morning. So if you are kind of new to the announcement or kind of new to the stream in general, we actually have 2 time slots a week. This is our only nighttime, regular nighttime slot, so it is 8:30 p.m. Eastern to whenever, I guess it is 10:30 now, /11. That is every Wednesday night, but we do have a sister sprint, also run by me, but you know, it's in the morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time to actually 11:30 a.m. And that happens every Saturday morning. It's called Tea Rights, so if you're looking for something to do on your Saturday mornings, / a little bit of encouragement to wake up early in the mornings, consider joining us for Saturday morning sprints. That said, that guaranteed sprint will be happening on Saturday the 7th. So 100% we will be up and early writing on Saturday the 7th. Will there be extra sprints in after Saturday the 7th? Next, I should start on the next regular stream. The next regular stream, we are back on schedule. No foreseen delays or skip days or anything like that. So the next stream of Night Rights, the next 8:30 p.m. stream will be Wednesday, February 11th. So mark that on your calendars. Tea Rights for Saturday morning streams, 8:30 a.m. on February 7th. Next Night Rights stream will be February the 11th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Will there be any special streams between those streams? So, for example, will there be one Thursday and Friday? The answer is probably not. Thursday is D&D night for me. Friday is my brain is jello. But I don't have anything planned, so we'll put a question mark on that. Then Sunday through Tuesday, it's my usual. Sunday it might be. So Sunday might be a thing unless I decide to go in the city for funsies. It is very cold, so we'll see if Benjamin and I are up for it. Uh, so if there are possible streams, it would be either the 6th or the 8th. Keep an eye on Blue Sky. I am on Blue Sky at jackswolfrights.bsky.social. You can subscribe to this channel and hit that bell for alerts. However, I never use the community announcements on YouTube. So you will get notified for a stream as the stream is starting. It is much more reliable to go on Blue Sky and follow me there, hit the bell, and kind of like accept my apologies for all the spamming I will do between announcements, but usually a few hours before stream starts. So right around 2 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. on Wednesdays, and the night before for morning streams, you will find an announcement. It will have a picture of my partner Benjamin and a cute little caption, and I will tell you that a stream is happening. So if a special stream is happening, keep an eye out for Benjamin pictures. But if there is not, at the regular times, they will definitely, those are guaranteed streams. Unless something happens, like I absolutely cannot make a stream whatsoever. So that is the plan for right now. Gabe says, thank you, kicking out on Blue Sky right now. That is an excellent time well spent. Steph says, too early for me, PST time, but evenings work well. The Wednesday evening. Totally okay. I do have one person in the Saturday morning stream who is jumping in from Colorado, and they're in mountain time. And I always feel bad because Taisha, the streamer for that stream, is like, yeah, I'm awake. It's 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I am so sorry. In other words, totally okay. You can also kind of like drop in if you feel like it. If you happen to be awake and we are still running, feel free to drop in. I don't mind. You will catch one sprint at the very least. But if not, you are totally welcome to join the evening streams. There will be more of these, and they basically consistently on Wednesdays. There you go. Cryptic says 6:30 out, right? I don't understand. Then again, I have one of my buddies in Brooklyn wakes up at 5 fucking in the morning, and he tells me that he has time to do all the stuff and still goes to bed at like 1 a.m. and I'm like, what are you doing with yourself, sir? Even though like I could definitely make the same time frame if I went to bed at 1 a.m. instead of fucking 3 in the morning. But in any case, morning people are baffling, and I'm trying to understand them by forcing myself to wake up early enough to do a Saturday morning stream. But it's questionable how successful I am at the entire understanding thing. But anyway, Steph says, I am sometimes awake at 5 a.m., but I can't write at that time, lol. That is understandable. I don't know how anybody functions at 5 a.m. But in any case, this has been a fun stream. I am so delighted. Thank you all for dropping in. I don't know if Itchy's around, but thank you for dropping in as well. But of course, thank you to everybody else who came in. Cryptic says 9 is the best that I can do. Totally understandable. Hey, if you wake up at 9 a.m., you'd be just in time for the sprints. I'm just saying. No, you don't have to actually join. It's totally optional. But it would be awesome. But anyway, thank you all so much for coming in. It's always a blast, and I'm looking forward to the next one, as always. But take care of yourselves, get plenty of rest, stay hydrated. Know that I love you, of course, and I will see you on the next stream. Good night. Oh, Cryptic pointed out that I'm an hour ahead. I keep forgetting that. I am so sorry. For some reason, I keep on thinking that you live in Pennsylvania, not in like the Midwest. My bad. Anyway, yes. Good night.